fighting for peace for us and for the humankind. We want to keep peace in Europe, but we have to be prepared to defend this peace. And what is happening in Ukraine will be an awakening moment for the people who believe that only united Europeans will be able to face the challenges of the future.
Thank you.
And now I am at your disposal for a few questions.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So we will take a bit of questions from the room, and I have the first one I will grant to a journalist from Ukraine.
Mr. President, you said that, okay, my name is Olena, and right now I'm representing all Ukrainian media, because in Ukraine right now all TV channels are showing the same picture. We are sharing responsibilities. You've said that it's a fourth meeting, and also it's a fourth day Ukrainians are fighting. It's a fourth day children are dying. It's a fourth day buildings are being bombed. My mom just sent me a message that in one village, people are even looking for windmills to make some bread for them already, because Russian army is robbing the villages, and Ukrainian soldiers are protecting the main cities. And still, the main cities of our country are still under Ukrainian government. I think it's clear that Ukraine will not surrender. So my question is, why only some Russian banks are cut from SWIFT? What are you waiting for? Isn't it clear that people are not going to surrender? Are you waiting till more people die in Ukraine? Thank you.
Certainly not. To disconnect the financial system of a country which is strongly interrelated with other countries and other economies cannot be done like this, with the scissors overnight. We have learned something from the Iranian experience, and we believe that we have to keep a possibility for the financial system to work in order to people to use it and to send money to their relatives and to pay something that is certainly necessary to continue exchanging with Russia. But don't worry, this degree of disconnection is carefully calibrated in order to create the maximum damage to the financial system of Russia while keeping the minimum level of interconnection with other financial systems.
Thank you very much. Now I will take a question from our colleagues who are connected remotely, and I give the question to Irini.
Thank you, Nabila. High Representative, I would like to ask you, are you afraid that Putin is going to use chemical weapons? Have you discussed about this? Because that kind of information maybe is something he's thinking of. Thank you.
Lo que pueda estar pensando el señor Putin, look, just to mention the possibility of using nuclear weapons, it's so a gigantic responsibility that says a lot about the personality of who is doing that. It's such a big responsibility at that moment that, frankly, one cannot imagine someone able to say these kind of things. But he has said, he told us, whoever will interfere in my attack to Ukraine, whoever could have the idea of support the Ukrainians will suffer an attack as they have never suffered, something that can never imagined. certainly this is a reference to the use of nuclear weapons.
I think
Nevertheless, we will continue supporting Ukraine.
Now, from the room, is it Angela? Yes. Okay, you have the floor.
Yes. Hi, thanks for the opportunity. Two quick questions. Putin alerted the nuclear deterrent system in Russia. Did you discuss this, and what's your evaluation, yours and the minister's evaluation? And the other thing is about SWIFT. Can we know exactly the number of the banks which will be excluded from SWIFT? Thanks.
Well, to the first question, I already answered it. I have nothing more to say. Certainly, everybody is aware of these threats, these crazy threats, but this doesn't prevent us from doing what do we think we have to do. And about the number of banks, you will see tomorrow when it's going to be published the list of the banks that is going to be affected by this decision. There is a certain number of Russian banks. Work is in progress, but sorry, you will have to wait for some hours. That's not easy to decide these kind of things, and we are working against the clock because everything has to be done before tomorrow morning.
Thanks a lot. Now, Marcus Becker, you have the floor.
Yes, good evening, High Representative. I would like to have two questions, if I may. The first being that you've mentioned the military material now being sent to Ukraine in the value of several million, hundreds of millions of euros. So that is a considerable amount of material. And given that the Russian Air Force has complete air superiority over Ukraine, how do you envision to get this material into Ukraine? Are you not afraid that the moment it crosses the border, it's going to be attacked by the Russian forces? And the second question is about the ban of Russia Today and Sputnik. How exactly are you going to keep them from broadcasting into Europe? Because what's going to keep them from disseminating their stuff from servers located in Russia to the European Union? Thank you.
We are preparing the measures necessary to prevent the dissemination of this media inside the European Union. We have technical ways of doing that. And certainly we are going to provide, we are going to supply arms, fighters. We are going to provide even fighting jets. We are not talking about just ammunition. We are providing the more important arms to go to a war. Minister Kuleba has been asking us that they need the kind of fighting jets that the Ukrainian army is able to operate. And we know what kind of planes, and some member states have this kind of planes. And by the time being, the western borders of Ukraine are still open, as far as I know, no? There are several member states who have borders with Ukraine, and they are open. We are going to provide not only with this 500 million. Apart from that, you have to add all the material the member states, several member states, many member states, each day more, are deciding to provide by themselves. This material is already on the way. Look what Germany has said recently, and by the way, I want to pay tribute and welcome the important speech of the German Chancellor in the Bundestag, which also represents an historical commitment of Germany not only to the solidarity with Ukraine, but also a significant increase of the German defense efforts. I think that Germany, like many member states, have now understood that if you want to avoid war, you have to be prepared to resist people who want to use the war to put their order above the independence and the freedom of other members, of other countries.
Okay, and now, Lorenzo, you have the floor.